So picture this for a second. A group of 5 playoff, a group of 5 championship game between the MAC, the Mountain West, the Sun Belt, the American, and Conference USA. Those 5 conferences battling for their own championship. Now you may say, well, Brandon, the current college football playoff system gives the group of 5 a chance. Okay, that is true. But we're talking about one team, and we're talking about that one team from that lesser conference going against an Alabama, a Georgia, an Ohio State, a Michigan, a Texas. The list goes on. The moral of the story is the group of 5 is a lesser part of the FBS. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just how it is. But there's been some people that have been thinking ahead. Derek Dooley, former Tennessee football coach. If you do not remember him, it's because he wasn't that great of a coach. He's since went on to do bigger and better things. But he pitched a group of 5 playoff that would be financially backed by a private entity. So this concept addresses that problem that I just mentioned just a moment ago. The fact that you are at an automatic disadvantage, these 5 conferences, and it's not just on the field play, a difference between talent discrepancies, but it's also revenue distribution. Because right now in the new college football playoff system, a group of 5 teams average about $1.8 million per year in CFP revenue. That is compared to the SEC and the Big Ten that get approximately $21 million per team. Huge difference. And really, this is going towards the inevitable. 2 mega conferences, and possibly at some point 1 mega conference when the SEC and the Big Ten, join each other. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, if that's going to happen in the next 10, 20 years. But I think the group of 5 and this effort right here and these talks that the administrators from these schools in these conferences are having, as well as someone like Derek Dooley, they're looking at the landscape of the game right now, and they're thinking, okay, how are we going to be sustainable? How can we do better than this $1.8 million per year? How can we give ourselves greater chance to have the spotlight, to do what, to do the things that the Power 5 conferences can do? Let's say the group of 5 comes into some kind of playoff, and this doesn't involve splitting the group of 5 from the Power 5, as in another subdivision. You've got the FBS, which includes 133 teams, including the Power 5 and the Group of 5 teams, the 62 Group of 5 teams. One way, split, have a completely different subdivision of college football that just includes those conferences, or you can keep everything exactly how it is. FBS teams all can play each other, so you have American Conference playing the SEC, you can have the Mountain West play the SEC, have the Mountain West play the Big Ten, whatever, mix and match however you would like. Keep all that exactly the same, but just introduce a playoff that can be just as prominent as the college football playoff that we have now, just as prominent as the FCS's playoff and their championship, that can still be a national championship, but it can just be at a different level. But you'd think this is obvious. This is an obvious move for the betterment of the sport as a whole. But there are a lot of people out there that are really standoffish on this. They're really against this. So I sat down earlier and I tried to write out some pros and some cons to this. I wrote a bunch of pros and I could not find one con. So let me give you the pros real quick of this proposal of the group of 5 teams splitting from the current playoff and starting their own playoff. First of all, you give schools a shot at a championship. Okay. There is never, we have had this experiment. We had this experiment with Cincinnati a few years ago. Yes. Wasn't so great, was it? Didn't end too well, did it? There is not a chance, especially as we go forward into the 12 team and further if we go to 14 teams, there's no chance that a group of 5 school will ever hoist that national championship trophy at the end of the year. This right here gives all these schools a chance to play for a championship. There's also, on another hand, exposure. Exposure for the smaller schools, okay? More exposure, more dollars, more revenue, more whatever merch, sales, more eyeballs to the programs. Maybe that word of mouth marketing. If you start, some team, a Jacksonville State or a Southern Miss or somebody like that, starts actually competing and they make it to these playoff games, you've got more people talking, hey, look at this Jacksonville State team, people that wouldn't normally ever even think about these schools. You're getting more exposure, getting more people talking, and it will be genuine. It'll be genuine. Like, it's a playoff, it's a championship, it counts. But also, I think this gives you more meaningful games. So the Group of 5 conferences will not just be playing games just to play games, hoping you make it to some lower, mid-level, mid-tier bowl game. No, you'll be fighting for so much more. All those games are going to matter even more for these smaller teams. And quite frankly, the games where you play Power 5 opponents, those are really going to mean a lot, because if you manage to upset a Power 5 team, as has happened a lot of times in history, your playoff stock is going to go way up. And with that being said, you can still play Power 5 schools. Nothing has to change. Nothing has to change at all. And also, I think it boosts the prestige of the Group of 5 conferences. It'll boost the prestige of the Mountain West, Conference USA, the Sun Belt. Those conferences won't seem like such less conferences because they'll actually be playing for something meaningful. That they'll actually have a shot to win a championship. Now, these players that go to these schools that maybe wasn't recruited to the SEC or the Big 12 or the Big 10 or the ACC, they'll have a shot to play for a championship. You will really have a shot to do something incredible, to have national champion beside your name for your life. That's big. That's huge. And like I said, zero cons. I cannot find one con to this. There's a lot of people out there that think this is not good for the sport, this won't be good for the conferences, and to which I ask you. But I believe Group of 5 playoff is a perfect solution. It really honestly preserves the game going forward. Because whatever the Power 5 can do, and maybe when it's all said and done, and we're several years into the future, if the Power 5 is all together, the Group of 5 can say, hey, we're still traditionalist. Okay? We're here. We still care about regionality. I know there are Group of 5 teams that are spread out over the country, and that's just how it is. But the Group of 5, at some point, can be the old school way, the old school version of college football that we've loved for decades and decades. Think of it that way. And what are your opinions? What do you think about this? Should the Group of 5 split up? Should they completely split from the FBS and create their own subdivision? Whether that's a FBS Division II or some completely new name? Or should all that stay the same? Should they have their own separate playoff, separate postseason? That's my question to you. Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe if you like what we're doing right here at Ride Along Sports as you ride along with us here. My name is Brandon Taylor. We'll see you next time. Peace.